I think the thing that's unsaid about this concept of thinking about ahead of time is all of this, if I understood correctly, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong, is about what you put in your agreement up front. What you're going to get, what the definitions are, how the lawsuit's going to work. And none of these guys are there when you're making that deal, right? And the transactional lawyer, I think they're being kind, is totally bought in on the system and making everybody happy and doing whatever. So they're not making sure there's a clause in there that you don't end up with jams. Is that what
Trust me, we try. We try.
Some do.
Yeah.
And she obviously pays a lot of attention to it, but I would say the bigger firms and the other stuff don't. But I think there's a bigger thing, and so your point about do I think about it, and I would just say, representing producers up here is, and I said this earlier to people, and I've even said it in the Produced By magazine, is getting projects made is really, really hard. And the problem is they take full advantage of that. And so at the moment that you are supposed to fight for all of these things that might matter to you later, all you care about is making your project. And so I've used the analogy of a drug addict, is that all of us producers are so drunk or high, or whatever you want to call it, with the fact that our projects get made, that the last thing you're going to do is call up and say, this little clause down here about who gets to do the arbitration, I don't want those guys to do it. You wouldn't say that in a million years. And you're definitely...
You wouldn't, but your lawyer would.
Maybe.
The reality is,
I'm 35 movies in. No one's ever called me about jams.
It's 3 to 5 years until the net profits start to kick in, and by that time, you're moving on to your next project. And your lawyer and your agent are most concerned about how much money are you getting up front, because I'm getting my 5 or 10%. And that's where they're...
So I would say that that's more what I think about is now, because I am sort of the poster child for all sides of it. I've hit movies where I couldn't find $1. I've had other movies where they've been paying out regularly for the whole time. And, I think it's something you have to be conscious of. I think the number one thing is the emotional decision to care about any of this. So like your question about do I think about streaming versus home video versus foreign levies versus fucking airplanes, right? No, I don't think about any of that. I'm sitting there going, holy shit, it's been 8 years of my life. Somebody might give me $20 million fucking dollars to make this movie, right? And then even if my lawyer, which hasn't happened, but even if my lawyer did call up and go, there's this arbitration clause that kind of sucks 5 years from now when you're fighting over net profits, I'd be like, dude, if you bring that shit up, I will drive to your office and punch you in the face. And so I'm just saying to you that the thing you guys got to take from this is Hollywood is built on the drunken sailor, producer, talent, actor concept that if you think you're going to go do it, all smart people like this are sitting back going, yeah, you're a drunken sailor. I'm going to take your fucking money, right? Because right now, and so you have to make a decision in your career, are you doing it for the money? Because if you're doing it for the money, these guys are 100% right. And I guarantee you, if you came up to me and you said, here's the 10 projects I'm working on, and you told me all I care about is making money, I could tell you why you should stop working on 9 of them. Because no one's sitting here working on projects because they're thinking about making money. And that's why Tom Hanks does it, because he hit a point somewhere in his life around bosom buddies where he was like, I'm doing this shit for the money, right? So I'm going to go ahead and audit everybody. Right? And the client she's talking about that they did together is a family member of somebody who's no longer around. I was like, seems kind of weird that I didn't get any money for Turner and Hooch. And all these guys are there for you, and I recommend everybody do it. But when you're in the throes of that moment, right? I'm not even sure if is it her husband or her father or
wife.
The Turner Hooch thing?
Wife.
She's the wife. But
Yeah.
Who was the person?
Oh, it was the husband.
Right. I'd be willing to bet if the husband was still here and the wife called up and said, hey, why haven't we gotten any money? He'd be like, honey, don't call anybody because I might get Turner and Hooch 9 made, right? So I would just say the biggest takeaway for producers in this thing, right, is you got to think whether this shit matters or not. Because the truth of the matter is, I'm sure these guys all have the first meeting. They're like, I can't believe you signed this contract. This is the worst fucking contract I've ever seen. Why would you do that? That's why they're talking about 1981. Right? I mean, Jesus Christ, I was in 8th grade in 1981, right? But the point, that's the thing I think you guys got to take out of it is if the money matters and if you can accept, because I think they're 100% right, there's no blackballing, there's no bullshit that happens. They actually will respect you more, which is why when they hire these guys and they say, okay, you're in the front of the line now. Because the guy on the other side, you realize these dudes are taking it seriously. It matters to them, right? But I went through it. I mean, we were young producers on American Pie, and we weirdly did the other thing where all of the net profit participants came together and audited as a group. So we never had that issue of whether we could tell anybody or not tell anybody. We all did it. But the point was that it's not just thinking about streaming. It's not just thinking about whether you're going to have arbitration and mediation or be able to go to the courts. It's waking up and realizing that you are in a fucking war for this money. And you got to decide, right, whether that's part of what you want to fight for, right, or you just keep on going.